Hi, this is Rabbi Glenn Black coming to you from our NCSY headquarters here in Toronto, Canada. It's a beautiful spring day here in Canada at minus 20 or so, but we're looking forward to Shabbos. This week is Parshat Pekudei, and I'd like to share with you a quick thought on leadership, accountability, and our responsibilities as NCSYers. In this week's Parsha, we learn Ele Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan ha'edus asher pukad al pi Moshe. These are the accounting that Moshe organized, that they would go around after the construction of the Mishkan to make sure that both sides of the ledgers, the donation part and the spending side, that matched. That the money that they collected from Bnei Israel actually went to purchase items in the Mishkan. And in fact, Moshe Rabbeinu went around because he wanted to make sure that Bnei Israel, and frankly all leaders in all generations, should recognize that a leader of the Jewish people should be above reproach, not only in the eyes of Hashem, but also in the eyes of man. V'yitem nikiyim me Hashem umi Yisrael, the pasuk tells us that you should be clean in the eyes of Hashem and of Israel. In fact, in benching we say that a person should be clean and good understanding, that the person should be honest and in good understanding, not only for Hashem, but also before human beings, other Jews. And so Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to teach us a lesson that it's so important to be above reproach, that the calculation of after he collected all the money, he wanted to show them how they spent all the money, and that was an amazing thing that he did as a leader. He wanted to show them that he had done all the right things, even though he was Moshe Rabbeinu, even though Hashem had commanded him, and there's no way he would have cheated. People needed to know what the truth was and where the money went. Which is amazing because the Medrash tells us about a story that is not recorded in the Torah, except from a pasuk that talks about something called a vav. The vavim were little hooks. There were 1,775 shekels that were spent on these vavim, these hooks that held up the pillars of the Mishkan. What were these hooks? What were they about? And what are the Medrash talking about? So the Medrash tells an amazing thing. That the Medrash says that when Moshe Rabbeinu was going through the accounting of the Mishkan, he brought all Klal Yisrael together, and he went this piece and that item, and this is where your money went to, this is where your money went to. He showed them all the different items that went into the building of the Mishkan. But when he finished accounting, he could not come up with 1,775 shekels. And he panicked. And he thought people would think that he embezzled the money. So he went around all over the Mishkan and checked every single corner, every single item, and where it happened. What happened to the calculation? And then Hashem opened his eyes. And Moshe recognized that he forgot to count these vavim, these hooks that held up the pillars. Now what's amazing about this is that they're tiny little hooks. Who really cares? So there's two things to learn from the vavim. Number one, small things matter. Small things matter. There's a story of the Dubno Maggid. The Dubno Maggid tells a story of an elderly man who was very, very impoverished, very poor, and he had no food, he had nowhere to go. So he would walk around from building to building in search of morsels of food or anything he can even find, even he can sell, so he can buy himself some food. So one day he found himself in the attic of a shul, and it was pitch black, he couldn't see anything. And he walked around and he saw some glimmering of something on the ground. And he wanted to take it, and he couldn't get it. He couldn't take it from the ground. So he started to turn it, and it started to turn and turn and turn and turn and turn. And then all of a sudden, he pulled it off the ground, and he heard bang! On the other side of that thing that he collected, the piece of metal that he had found on the ground, was the shul's chandelier, and it came crashing down. He, in fact, had turned the nut, the bolt, that held the chandelier to the roof. The Maggid of Dubno says, never think that small things do not have great consequences. Even the small things that we do in this world, they matter. These vavim, these little hooks, even though they were only 1,000, this tiny amount, they held up the entire pillar. And so Hashem wants us to know small things do matter. But there's an even more profound lesson here of the vavim. The vavim are also connectors. The word vav means and it connects objects and it connects people. Every single thing is connected through that vav. In fact, that Adam Harishon was born on the 6th day, which is the letter Vav. So in fact, he was born on Yom Vav, the day of connection. As soon as man was created, all human beings were connected to man. And all Jews are connected to other Jews through that, through the Vavim. We all have responsibility for one another. The Vav is the sign of the symbol of what it means to be part of the Jewish people, to be our brother's keeper. In fact, if we go back in time to Parshas Bereishis, in the story of Cain and Hevel, we learn a fascinating thing. Vayomer Hashem el Cain, Ei Hevel achicha. Vayomer lo yadati hashomer achi anochi. When Hashem asks to Cain, where is your brother? What's his response? Did I know that I'm my brother's keeper? He couldn't care less about his brother. He killed his brother and he took no responsibility for him. Now watch this. What was the sign that Hashem gave Cain? He knew he would be banished forever. He had a sign on him. By Yukam, by Yashem, Hashem, Lekain, Os. Hashem put a sign on him. What was the sign? Target, so to speak. What was the mark of Cain on Cain? The mark of Cain, says Rav Meir Shapiro, Medrash he brings down, was the letter Vav. He would have bolded on himself, like a tattoo or something like that, the letter Vav on him. Why, says Rav Meir Shapiro? Because he couldn't care less about his brother. He didn't care about his brother. He didn't care about the consequences of his actions. He didn't care that his brother would not be able to live in this world anymore. So because he didn't care about his brother, Hashem gave him the burden of carrying the letter Vav, the connector, to remind himself throughout his life that a human being's responsibility is not to focus on oneself, but to focus on those around us, because that's what makes us better. You can get all you want out of life by helping other people get all they want out of life. And I think that's what the message of NCSY is. The message of NCSY is that we have a responsibility not only to ourselves, but to those around us. If we were blessed and with great Torah education, with a wholesome family, that we have a responsibility to share the beauty of Yiddishkeit, share the beauty of our home, our Shabbos, our Yom Tov tables, with those around us who don't have that opportunity. We have a gift, we have to share that gift. That's what the Vav means. That's what it means to be a great leader, and that's what it means to be an NCSYer. I wish you a good Shabbos, and thank you.